Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into today's explainer? Because today we are looking at something really fascinating. We're breaking down a bold new proposal that's aiming to completely revolutionize an industry that literally affects every single one of us: agriculture. But here's the thing, despite its absolutely massive scale, the farming industry is currently plagued by a deeply hidden crisis.
So, ask yourself, what happens when the backbone of an entire economy operates in complete data darkness? Well, right now, countless farmers are out there making massive, livelihood-altering decisions: what to plant, what resources to use, exactly when to sell, based almost entirely on personal experience and old traditions. And on the flip side, government institutions are relying on these incredibly infrequent periodic surveys. These surveys, they just give a tiny snapshot of farming activities at one specific moment in time. The result? Both policymakers and the farmers themselves are essentially flying blind. They're forced to make reactive decisions based on totally outdated information. It's kind of like trying to navigate a highway using a map from 20 years ago.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the agricultural data gap. Then, we'll introduce the proposed tracking system and break down exactly how this tracker works. After that, we'll look at how they actually plan on implementing the new system, followed by the benefits for all the stakeholders involved. Finally, we'll dive into the real-world political campaign pitch behind all of this. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The agricultural data gap, or farming in the dark.
To really understand the problem, we have to look at how fragmented the current system is. On one side, you have agricultural extension centers. These places basically act as transactional, bureaucratic offices that just hand out seeds based on those infrequent surveys we just talked about. And then on the other side, you've got the agricultural produce market committees. These are supposed to regulate the market, right? But they operate in total isolation because there's absolutely no real-time link between what's happening on the farm and what the market actually demands. We end up seeing these totally unpredictable, wild price crashes and spikes.
In fact, the proposal lays it out perfectly with this quote. Without real-time tracking of farming activities, these interventions function as independent processes rather than contributing to a coherent economic system. And it's so true, because the whole ecosystem is just so incredibly disjointed, farmers are left facing constant financial uncertainty and massive post-harvest losses. Plus, this total lack of oversight creates huge loopholes for fraudsters to swoop in and siphon off subsidies that were meant for genuine, hardworking farmers.
Which brings us to our proposed solution in Section 2, the tracking system that aims to bring light to all this data. The core solution proposed in our source document is called the Daily Land Activity Tracker. Now, at its heart, it's a computer application with a really smart dual purpose. For the authorities, it serves as a top-level data management system. It takes all these scattered individual reports and processes them into highly structured, actionable insights. But for the farmers actually out there on the ground, it functions as a bottom-level personal logbook. It literally allows them to track and analyze their daily expenses, their productivity, and their overall profits over time. This could completely change how they manage their day-to-day livelihoods.
Moving on to Section 3, let's look at how the tracker actually works on a 24-hour cycle. Okay, so here's the day-to-day reality. Farmers are required to self-report their activities using a very simple two-column approach. Basically, they log their inputs, things like seeds, fertilizers, and whatever they spent on labor, against their outputs, like the harvested crops or whatever they managed to sell. But here is the absolutely crucial part. They have to log both the quantity and the monetary value of these things within 24 hours of the day ending. Past data cannot be backfilled. This strict 24-hour rule is exactly what guarantees the information remains truly real-time.
Now, you're probably wondering, how on earth do you force compliance without creating just a massive policing headache? Well, the proposal relies on what they call trust-based compliance. There are actually no direct penalties or fines if a farmer fails to report. No physical inspections, no one knocking on their door asking to see receipts. Instead, the system very cleverly links regular reporting to the farmer's most essential needs. So if a farmer wants to take out a loan or export their goods or get approval for public distribution system procurement, those requests will simply be withheld if they haven't been updating their tracker. It's a system that makes participation practically essential for their financial survival without using a stick.
All right, Section 4, implementing the new system using both high-tech and low-tech methods. Because, let's be real, you can't just drop an app on millions of farmers and expect it to work overnight. The rollout strategy here is actually designed to accommodate everyone, no matter their tech skill level. Initially, they'd set up village training camps to link the reporting process to basic native language and math skills. Now, for the tech-savvy farmers, there's a dedicated web and mobile app. Easy enough, right? But what about the more traditional users? Well, they can simply write down their daily logs on a regular piece of paper, snap a photo of it, and send it over to a designated WhatsApp number. From there, data operators manually upload it into the system. Honestly, it's a brilliantly inclusive workaround to make sure no one gets left behind.
Now let's look at the ripple effects in Section 5, the benefits for all stakeholders in this new data-driven ecosystem.
So what does this all mean for the big picture? Well, for everyday people, having access to real-time data means optimized farming costs, much fairer market rates, and a stable food supply without those sudden artificial shortages we see so often. And for the government, the shift from outdated, infrequent surveys to highly accurate daily data is pretty much transformative. They can instantly spot and eliminate fraudulent subsidy claims. Plus, they can execute incredibly fast, deeply informed disaster management when things like droughts, floods, or sudden pest outbreaks hit. It's a huge win-win.
Finally, Section 6, the political campaign pitch, from proposal to ballot box.
This is where things get really interesting. You see, this incredibly detailed proposal for the data tracker isn't just some academic white paper floating around. It actually serves as the foundational platform for a real-world political campaign. The author of the document is utilizing this exact tech-driven agricultural solution as their primary pitch to run as an MLA or MP election candidate. The document itself actively solicits Google Pay donations, asks for direct election support, and requests moral backing from the public. It is a really fascinating example of a policy proposal doubling as a grassroots political manifesto.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Could data-driven farming literally be the new frontier of agricultural politics? We've just seen how bridging this massive data gap could, theoretically, eliminate fraud, completely stabilize prices, and deeply empower farmers on the ground. But seeing it leveraged directly as a political tool, used to win votes and actively solicit campaign donations, well, that adds a completely new layer to how agricultural technology might be championed in the future. It really leaves us to wonder, will the politicians of tomorrow simply be the ones who hold the best data solutions? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.